We are back again for another week of RMAC Weekly. Hey, no worries about that. Let me give you guys some. Let me just preemptively say I do got my 2-year-old living with me now, so he might be a little loud in the back. But Draper, how's your week been, dude?
Dude, it's been crazy. It's been hectic all over. But everybody that knows me knows that's Draper life. As we can see, you've got your kid. I'm gonna have a wild night with the animals. We've got them all alone. I've got 2 cats, got 2 dogs. It's always raining cats and dogs in my world. But man, I'm blessed. I woke up. I'm breathing. I can walk.
Oh yeah.
One of my friends, Max Fine, used to say I'm a fan of breathing. So yeah, man, just blessed. Can't wait to sit here and talk another week full of RMAC football and how great it was and how great it's about to get. It's about to cook up.
Well, man, last week's games were pretty wild. We got some video of Western. SD Mines traveled up to Western and gave Western a lot more of a game than they probably thought. These highlights, thank you to the amazing Amelia Lucasen, always doing her thing with the cam. Ricky Freeman, the conference defensive player of the week, he just had himself a day. Dude is just relentless. We got Drew Nash. He's going long to DJ Allen, the Colorado Springs native. I love seeing my Colorado kids do their thing. But yeah, you're going to see Ricky Freeman in a second here. He's going to get 2 consecutive sacks on the same drive. He's dominant, dude, and he's big. He's relentless. Like I've said before, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Jared Allen from the Vikings back in the day, just relentless with it. But although these highlights obviously are tilted towards Western, following this fumble, which we're going to replay in slow-mo, what a hit that was. Ooh, that's running through the ball. Western went down 24-7, but they would score. They would come back and win, and we got Victory David here. But the guy that really led the way was the guy that fumbled there, Josiah Ion. He's going to have 4 touchdowns here subsequently after that fumble. And Drew Nash, man, just coming back in the clutch. I don't know. How does he get behind him on that one? That one is a little wild to me. But you see 2 guys there. You're going to see it again. Double coverage doesn't matter. Josiah Ion up the sidelines for the score. Western, they come back and they get the win. And Western remains undefeated heading into their huge monumental matchup with Mines. But this one didn't come easy. Like I said, they were down 24-7 at one point, and then they scored 28 unanswered. So what were some of your takeaways from this game?
Well, I mean, I tweeted this weekend or I X'd, I don't even know how you say that nowadays, but you saw my setup. I had all 5 of the games going at one time. To my left, this game was sticking out heavy to me. I was telling you throughout the game, I was texting you, I was giving you updates. I was like, dude, South Dakota's putting it on right now. I was like, SD Mines showed up, and I was like, boom, boom, boom. I'm naming one thing after another. It was for SD Mines. You want to say what we talked about coming into the game this last week is, can they hold Drew Nash? Can they make him be basically? Can we make him be the player that he wants to be? Can we make him be what we talked about? And at first they had him. They had him case up, and that's kind of what showed up. The game, it says 10-7, but even then, I really was telling you, South Dakota Mines could be a way higher game than what it was. And then once they started putting on the points, I was like, oh wow, this is getting wild. But you got to give it up to Coach Baines out there, man. Like, resilient, thin air crew, right? Mm-hmm. Every week, he says it every week, right? They're the thin air crew. I said it last week. They're the blue-collar kids of the RMAC. When you're able to grind out 28 straight points, you're down, but you're able to trust in yourself, your teammates. You're able to trust in the offense to do their job. That's a team that's firing right now. When we talk about firing on cylinders, like, you feel bad for Mines that it happened to them. Like South Dakota, you do. It's like, man, this is just what good teams do when they have to dig down and become good. And Mines showed it there.
I want to give Western some credit. Like, obviously their offense scores the 28 unanswered, but like their defense, getting those stops, getting the ball back. Holding Gilbert, the first drive of the game, had like a what was like 80, 70-yard run to the house. But other than that, they really shut him down and were able to get their offense the ball back with enough time to score those 28 points. So a lot of credit to Western. They showed a lot of mettle in that game and just a lot of heart and toughness. And it's interesting that they had a rough go of it because your former school, the Thunderwolves, also had a pretty rough game. We're going to start those over for you. I said this. My takeaway from this was thank God for Cody Ramming's parents. I think if Cody Ramming's parents weren't who they were and didn't have the genealogy that they have, they don't win this game. As you see, Pueblo's first 14 points come on blocked field goals that they return to the house. Shout out to Coach Mack having those guys ready to do the scoop and score. I had nostalgia being there watching this, but truly, like, I don't know that Pueblo wins this game if they don't. Howard Russell had it going on the ground, but offensively, they had nothing through the air for Black Hills. Devin Larson had 31 yards passing when he only really played the final drive of the game. Fuller, he only had 30 yards passing on the day, but defense and special teams wins games. As you see, Daniel Bone there, Gary Seidenberger, the RMAC Freshman of the Year last year, doing his thing, coming up with a big stop there. That would get them the ball back. They would drive down the field, kick game-winning field goal. But this one was tight, man, really tight. I was there in person. I can't lie. Like, obviously, Pueblo did win the game, but being there, it felt like Black Hills deserved to win the game. Being there on the field, watching it, Black Hills was able to establish their ground game. Luke Doobie, I thought, was really good through the air. Damian Boozer had himself a day for Black Hills. And Black Hills defense really came to play. They only gave up 7 points.
Yep. I mean,
10 with the field goal. But, I mean, one touchdown and a field goal, if I'm on a defense that does that in a game, I think we deserve to win. So I know that one hurt for Black Hills, but Pueblo, they escaped by the skin of their teeth. What do you think watching this one?
This was terrifying. Again, this is another game we're sitting there. You were at, I'm texting you about, and I'm like, man, like what? Like we had talked about coming into this game, the quarterback controversy, and where we were just kind of messing with, but then is it messing around? I don't know. Like, and I even joked with you after the game, and I was like, man, I'm surprised Stevie didn't get a shot to go in there and big something. You're just looking for something to be that flame. And like you said, thank you, CSU Pueblo recruiting, for bringing in Russell Howard, because, like, I mean, dude's like carrying some load right now. We just talked about it a second ago, right before. He's at 7.9 yards per carry. He's closing in on 1,000 yards in the season. Needs 114 more yards, and he'll be past that 1,000, which is amazing for a season, for a year. And you just got to think, like, what's going on the offense? But you also got to look at the defense. Yeah, like Pueblo, we've been ramping about Pueblo's defense. Boom, 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 and Blackman comes out and they're doing this. They're able to put up, I believe, nearly 500 yards of total offense on you, and which this is a team that shouldn't be hanging around with you, right? This is a team that you should put away first half. Even if your offense can't put it on, you got to find a way to put points on. Like you said, thank you to ramming. This were all 3 point. Like, obviously, special teams is a huge aspect. I'm a big special teams guy. I want to be a special teams coordinator someday in big dreams. But you just kind of give a shout out to the special teams for giving you a shot in this game, especially for the offense, because, man, they bailed you out. And especially the defense. I know primarily most of those special teamers are on defense, but those guys that are, the third string, the fourth string, those guys, they were able to create a play that was able to put them in this chance right here. And when you go in the Black Hills, those 2 field goals, look at the final score. That's 6 points left off the board right there that you got to have. I know when I was in practice at Pueblo, I was a backup kicker. I only got one kick a day, but our actual kicker was about 7 to 8 in the practice period, right? So, you practice all week just getting lined up, people coming at you, sending different blocks. You have to be able to step in and block your guy and get those points. Those are huge points. And now you see it, 3-point game, and you had 6 points on the table that then turned into 14 points for the other team. There's big things about this game. And I said last week about football, it's 3 to 4 plays that make up a whole game. And right here, you erase 2 plays, and it's a completely different game.
Yeah, a total heartbreaker for Black Hills. But man, like, even though Black Hills, I know that bus ride home sucked. I have to believe that Pueblo was not happy with this result. Like, they have the bye week this week, which would be really beneficial for them to really get figured out what they're going to do at quarterback. With Fuller getting the start here, and only going 4 for 11 and 30 yards, do you go back to Larson here? Do you give Stevie a chance to get a start this year and see what he can do? Pueblo has some things to figure out, especially when mine's coming in this following weekend after the bye week. So they did get the win. You always want to win. It's better to win and be able to correct things than to lose and learn from them. So credit to them. Credit to Cody Ramming, man. Getting up. Maybe he should try out for the basketball team this year.
I mean, I've seen it all a little bit too. Cody can play, and shout out to Cody, man. Like a real shout out to you, because first day I met this kid, man. He came in, he was 6'7", and he was like 190 pounds. And
skinny kid, huh?
Yeah. So to see what he's grown into, the player he's become. Obviously, shout out to Coach Herm out there, his history with how his D-line is and ways he's able to coach and develop players. But Cody, dude, you deserve that, man. Just keep balling, keep going. And obviously, anytime right here, your name could be called, make a play for your team. And he didn't do it but once, but he did it but twice. So I think that's 2 games in a row where we've seen one player be able to step up and make multiple plays to put his team on the victory column.
Well, a team that didn't have just one player, but played a full whole team game was those Mesa Mavericks, man. That defense, it seems week by week it gets better and better. It seems like these guys on the D line, the young dudes are stepping up. We got young dudes on offense. We got the Colorado boys, Alex Turpin there, Mountain Vista product. I'm gushing over this right now. I love seeing the Mavs getting turned back up. Look at this. This is a true freshman. This might be your conference defensive freshman of the year, Hunter Hamilton out of Columbine. Dude's a baller. Just relentless. You got your guy, Cash Bradley. Look at that pick, man. Look at that, dude. Going up and getting it on the sideline, man. Cash, you've made me a believer, dude. I hope you see this. And then, look, we got Mesa having some fun right before halftime. They almost pulled off this hook and ladder. Look. Boop, boop. Oh, almost get it there. That's all right, though. Second half starts. Liu, he's really starting to – now that Liu is the starter officially, you've seen week after week him just developing in just taking steps and just being a more consistent quarterback. Hunter Hamilton, again, that's his second one of the day. And then Aiden Taylor, what a job he did. I want to say he went for over 200 yards on the day. 216 on 25 carries. That's big boy football. Just carrying the ball 25 times. Getting tackled 25 times. You don't see that with a lot of running backs these days. You got a lot of the staggering backfields now. I love what Mesa's doing. When I played at Mesa, we had more of a prolific offense per se. We scored more points and did more through the air. But I gotta say, this just tough-nosed, hard-nosed football. It's beautiful to watch. In Mesa, I don't really see Mesa stopping. They got Fort Lewis next week, which I imagine will build more confidence for them. They'll probably score more points. Everything's trending towards that big game with Western, the big rivalry game at the end of the year. But the Mavs are looking really good right now.
Yeah, I mean, kind of just pick off of every piece of where you went, starting the offense, going to the defense. Offense, QB, we finally figured out the situation. Now he's in practice. He's able to hit the timing. You're working your mesh with the ones in the first 5 minutes of practice. You're throwing to the ones. You're getting your timing on. So you're seeing that. He 5 misses. A couple of those, I would say, are very close to being also, completions. So very successful with the ball. Obviously, the one interception. So it's rough. But I texted you at half, right? This game going into halftime was 7-3, and Mesa had the yards to it wasn't even close. I mean, I was like, I would have thought this game would have been 21-3. You would have thought so, right? Like just looking at it. So you see the flashes. You love it. Get the points now. Let's get the more points. That's all we need. And I know they're harping it all every week. Coach Wick out there, he's harping the points. We always want to go out there and score points. And so I just think that offense is taking monumental steps, obviously, for where it's at. And you go to the defense. I mean, we've talked about the defense, man. Cash Bradley, a leader. Jason, a leader. LeBron, a leader. Charlie Smith on the inside, a leader. A lot of those kids, Colorado kids. We talked about this on X. Just look at where the top players are coming from in this conference. Players who are used to getting down, getting gritty, playing those tough physical games, those violent football games. That's in Colorado. How many states really around here are playing football, late October and it's already snowing on you? It's just a different aspect and a different thing that these kids carry to them that bring it to the national level. And obviously with us both playing, I played at CSU-Pueblo, you playing at Colorado Mesa. I was a Texas kid and coming up, and I respect it because I played with so many Cherry Creek kids, true winners. And I always looked at it, I was like, man, the only football I've ever heard of is Georgia, Florida, Texas. Those are the ballers. But I mean, these are the gritty kids, right? Like you're used to playing in cold games, and that's where the final games are. I want to give a shout out to everybody that hasn't even noticed. We are wearing our championship shirts from when we played, because right now is what we call the championship time. It's these last couple weeks. Not only are we going to have a game each week that's going to change the standings, but it's going to also determine these playoffs. And the playoffs is determined in a national ranking, and 3 conferences, I believe 4 conferences were put into. And so if it plays out right, we're looking like we can have a lot of teams, and Mesa could be one of those teams if they continue playing like this. That's going to be sitting pretty. They're not even going to be the 7th seed barely getting in. 4th seed, 3rd seed. They have a shot. They keep playing like this. It's going to be hard to beat them. They're 5-2, but in reality, they only have one loss that actually matters, like in the conference. This weekend, we're going to talk about it in a minute, but we're going to have 2 teams. One already has a loss and one's undefeated. Somebody's going to have another loss. And so it's gonna start changing. So these are in Pueblo we call it the golden box. The last 4 or 5 games was the golden box. This golden standard, we talked about it last week. You have to give your best every week, and it feels like Mesa's just getting better.
Seems like they're trending up in the right direction. Highlands, tough for Highlands. Going on the long road trip. Joey Cave had a long day. He was under fire all day, but Mesa, I can't send enough congratulations their way for the turnaround that they're on this year. But moving along to our next game, this is one that we both got wrong. I will say we did think Stone Walker was going to play. He didn't end up playing, and Chadron had their way, to say the least. Defensively, Tucker Peterson, 2 picks. He cribbed one of those. Dax Girardi, who I think is one of the most underrated safeties in the conference, he cribbed one. Will Stimler had some sacks. Like their defense had a day. And then their offense obviously did their part along, but the defense having scored, I just that was 14 points I just spoke to. I think Chadron, they were pissed off about losing to Highlands last week in a game they probably felt they should have won with it coming down to the last kick, and it showed this week, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say I'm sorry, Chadron, if you took it personal. I do want to say, you know, I feel like this game is completely different with Stonewalker on that side. At one point, I truly felt like there were more passes completed to Chadron than his own players, and that's hard. And that's not me just dogging, but it was hard to watch, man. I mean, I thought they were showing replays of picks that have been happening, and I found out that was the same play. Tucker Peterson with the Costco boy or Costco guys. Shout out to that celebration. That was cold. But dude, it was tough to watch. You feel bad for Fort Lewis because you're trending, and you lose your guy. You know, you just but you know, you look at Chadron, who's dealt with not having their guy, and now he has it. You know, they have him, and DJ, man, Mr. Ralph, the way you extend the plays. It's amazing. I always hated playing against lefties. I could never read you. The ball's spinning differently than it comes out of righty. But dude, you extend the plays the way you continue on looking forward, not just like, okay, I'm gonna run and get yards. I mean, you're a hefty guy. You can go get some yards. You can go get 4 yards a run. I know you can. But you always looking forward. He's a good kid, dude. It's a good way to watch him. But shout out Chadron, really bounce back game right here. Put the stomping down, continue building on. Let's keep, you know, you got a couple games coming up soon that are going to affect the standings. So what do? Fort Lewis, you hope you pick up the feathers, flock them out a little bit again, and, you know, you get back to it. Hopefully Stone's playing this week, and it gives them a shot to get some redemption back, get some rhythm back. So that's really all you're wanting to get. Like, come on, let's get some type of rhythm back, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, it was just a rough game in total, but it's going to be better for the both of them.
Shout out to just want to give a couple of shout outs to a couple of Chadron players. Tommy Thomas, he's dealt with some injuries this year. He was an all-star receiver last year. Big play down the field guy. Hasn't been getting as many yards as he's being worked back in, but I want to say this is his second consecutive week getting in the end zone. So that's a good sign for Mr. Thomas. And then Jake Marshall, you know, he doesn't have the highest yards per carry, and he's not leading the conference in rushing, but go look at his carries. He's toting the ball. You know what I mean? Like, us having played football, we understand the beating he's taking, and I appreciate and respect that. It's nice seeing him get in the end zone. So that was real cool for me this week. But moving along, our last game that we're going to look at from last week, not too surprising of a result. We thought Mines would go in and have their way, and they did. I don't have too much to say about it. Evan Foster was amazing. He had the one INT to Mr. Trey Dinesto over at Adams. So he sat the Mesa week. He was hurt when I was up there. But prior to that, he's had, like, aside from the game he missed, like, every game he's in, he gets a turnover. So shout out to them. Shout out to him and Adams for that. But I mean, for the most part, Mines did their thing, had their way. There were two guys, both over 100 yards, both got in the end zone. This is kind of the result we expected. It's still probably good for Mines to go on the road, though, and have a performance like this after all their other previous road performances this season. But I didn't take too much from this one. I expected it to be like this.
Yeah, I mean, I told you, again, we were in the middle of talking. Evan played really good. I mean, he was hitting his good receivers. I mean, it's not hard to look amazing when you have the receivers you do, right? And you're playing a secondary and a team that you know you're going against. So you know this is a yard week for you, and right. But there were times where you could tell he was going through progressions, not just throwing the fade ball. Obviously, okay, I've got this out route right here. This is where I'm supposed to throw it. The safeties here, the linebackers here, you know. So, I mean, he's trying to get better, right? That's where I'm going here. I mean, the Adams defense, you said it last week, you said it every week. They give them a shot in the beginning, but when you're on the field, I think they were on the field for 8 possessions and there were no points, and they had only given up 21 points at the time. Because I mean the scoreboard it shows what it is, but it was 14-7 after the first, and then Mines did put on 14 in like the last couple minutes got together, right? So they were holding them pretty well. It's just you're out there. We know how it is. 10-play drive,
Deflating.
1-play drive.
Deflating, man.
You're like, come on, offense, give me 5 plays here, So you just gotta hope something kicks for the offense that gives a chance for the defense. And you also gotta say for the defense, great for getting the turnover. You gotta get points from it now, right? Like it's a big emphasis. I'm sure when you played and I played, we had turnover Tuesdays, but we also were to score on those turnovers, right? Like
every time
when we were facing the end zone, we weren't coming out of the end zone. The offense is always coming out. So every time you caught the ball, you ran it through. You simulated you scoring. And you also simulated running through the end zone with the ball in your hand and you handing it to the ref.
And dropping it.
Like we're still having to deal with in 2024. What are we watching? Defensive players, please carry the ball across the line, goal line, please.
High and tight, man.
And to the official and act like you've been there before. Turn around and celebrate with the boys because it's always like that. So, but yeah, we knew where this game was going. Adams sees something on the offense, guy kicking it together, some leadership. Players are yelling at each other, man. I mean, something's got to happen, right? Mine's huge game this week. We'll talk about, obviously, that coming up. It's obviously where we're at with that.
Before we get out of here, shout out Mr. Reed over there for the Grizzlies, though. He's a senior. He's a Pueblo kid. Grew up in Pueblo. I bet you – I wouldn't be surprised if you were probably one of his the summer camps. You stay and do, like, camps at Pueblo and you'd be a coach and stuff. I bet you probably know Mr. Reed, but shout out to him, the senior, getting over 100 yards, getting in the end zone. Big time day for him. But next week, we've been talking for a couple weeks now about games ahead, really big games. Our first big one is coming up next week. Here, let's just jump right into it. This is a top 10 matchup in the nation. Western going down to Golden to try to beat Mines for the first time since 2016. Last year was expected to be a heavyweight clash. Didn't turn out to be. Wasn't really a close game. Mines pulled away from them. But the previous 2 years before that, Western had them dead to rights and just gave the game away, kind of like respectfully. But this year, a different Mines team. No more Matoga magic necessarily, and the defense not looking as stout up front as it has in years past. Western on the other end, defense looking as stout as ever, and Drew Nash looking like he may have really taken a step. I'm just going to go out and say it. I think Western's going to get it done. I think Western's going to go into Golden this year. I think Western's going to grind it out with defense. I think guys like Ricky Freeman, Kendall Hollowell, older guys that have been right there on the cusp of getting Mines and just haven't been able to. I think they're going to kick through that door this week, and I think they're going to get it done and move on to 8-0. Mines obviously has been amazing at home all year, but I also don't know that Mines has played a team that's as good as Western just yet.
Yep.
They didn't start this year with the Grand Valleys of the world. They started with the West Texas and a Washburn, and I frankly don't think that they've seen a defense that's going to be quite like Western's.
Right.
So that's me laying it on the table. I've been thinking about this one. I couldn't help to get it out, but who do you got and why, Tanner?
I mean, this is the game of all games, right? Like last week, we got blessed watching the Harden game. If you got to watch that,
wow. that announcer, man.
Shout out to the announcers because I talked about this. There are some announcers I can't listen to, and I am very thankful. This game is going to be with very very where it's at. It's gonna be a great game, great atmosphere. You got a 7-0 team coming into a place that we've talked about is the unbeaten. I mean, you are playing in one of the hardest places. It's going to be tough. It's going to be loud. Not sure what the weather is. Haven't looked at it. Again, I'm in Texas, so it's obviously it's 85 degrees where I'm at today.
I'll text you. If it's snowing and it's freezing, best believe I'll be texting you like I'm freezing on the sideline right here.
Last year look at it. It was a crazy game like that. And I talk about Western being every day in the snow, and look what happens. But this is that game where you just got to look at it 7-0, flying around, doing everything they can on defense to help the offense, when they're struggling. But I think Blaster is going to be running all over the field every touchdown Evan Foster throws this week. And I got Mines winning this week, so I'm sorry. But I think the upset happens. Western cannot win in Boulder.
Golden.
Sorry, I was
Golden.
Boulder. No, it's in Golden. We always stayed in Boulder, but
that's where we stayed too.
broker. Man, I really think it's hard to beat them. We talk about they're hard to beat at home. This is a rivalry game. They want to prove that they have a shot to win an RMAC championship. They should be a part of it. Maybe they're like that one loss is a fluke. Now they get to kind of put themselves in the schedule, right? They get to play everybody, give everybody a loss. Maybe we have a 5-way tie at the end of the year. I don't know. Mines has got to have it, and this is where it's going to be. So give me Mines.
We got a great comment from Paul Elder here. Paul Elder says, Western's defense will be key, but Mines stick out West Texas more convincingly than Western. Western almost got taken down at home last week by SD Mines. Western just hasn't played a top-tier team. What I would say to argue that is, and Draper, you can speak to this, Western was on the road at West Texas A&M. That's a crazy environment down there. How would we saw Mines on the road struggle with Washburn, who was one of like a lower tier MIAA team. I'd say West Texas is like mid-tier LSC. What would Mines look like on the road with West Texas? What would you say to? Obviously you guys are on the same team. You think Mines is going to do it, but what would you say to that?
I mean, with the comment, I completely agree the way that Mines was able to handle West Texas, but being at that game, I watched Western go kind of through some adversity. A couple of their players, their tackle, a couple of their players, other than I think it was both their tackles, their running back, and Drew Nash, all got banged up throughout that game at one point, and their starting left tackle, they didn't even come back for the rest of the game. And that puts a lot of pressure on you. West Texas has a lot of pressure on the end, but I don't think that's really a comparison game for you because it's really not your conference, right? You don't go in looking at West Texas and study them throughout the year for you to be like this. But I actually love how in depth that question was taken into.
Oh yeah, great question, Paul. This one it could come down. This could be like a slug it out dog fight. And if it is that, based on what I've seen this year, like I'm going with Drew Nash. I just saw Drew Nash score 28 unanswered with his back against the wall. Western maybe didn't play their best last week, but maybe that was the little wake-up call that they needed right before a game of this magnitude. Understanding, hey, we know we're undefeated, but let's not start thinking that our stuff doesn't stink. Maybe that was just what they needed to really get them focused and ready for this game. Regardless, it's going to be fireworks. You see the tail of the tape. They both score a lot of points, both over 35 a game, both giving up less than 20. Those total offenses, like they're very, very similar this year. That total defense, though, on the Western end, I think that's I think that's going to be the difference in it. I think Ricky Freeman. The past few years, Mines have had some some great offensive lines, some guys that have been all Americans and captains for years on end. This is more of a newer group. I think it's going to be interesting. Just seeing Ricky Freeman versus Nick Vandegraff. He is the lone guy that's been a long starter for Mines on that O line. He's their left tackle. That's going to be interesting. That might be the matchup. Who wins out of Nick Vandegraff and Ricky Freeman? Can he hold Ricky Freeman from wrecking the game? But then you also got to think about Coach Auer in that defense and that scheme. Like, if you're going to be running protections towards Ricky, best believe Coach Auer is going to have a stunt to exploit it. So I'm just looking forward to the chess match, the battle of the minds between the coaching staffs, how they approach this one. I'll be there in person. Please, Mines fans, don't hate me for picking Western this year. I picked you guys last year, but I'm excited. This is aside from, well, they do have the Anchor Bone Class in Grand Valley and Ferris, but after that, this is the next best game in D2.
I'll stick it up there. Of the recent era, this is the better the rivalries. Yes, I'll put that up there. But I mean, like you said, this is gonna be high scoring. This game's gonna be. It's not gonna be a 7-21 game. No, I kind of think it's gonna be both teams over 30, kind of getting up there. And yes, just like RMAC Insider, Kendall Lightfoot, who we haven't said, is pressure. This game is going to be a battle of the box, battle of the trenches. I mean, both sides, they do it. Secondaries on both sides, I think, are shaky, and that's just kind of where I have it. I mean, obviously, I have Western's defense obviously the secondary a little bit better than mine's secondary.
But they also have they have the better front seven. They're causing more pressure this year. I think part of why mine's secondary maybe hasn't looked as good this year as the past is because it works in tandem. If your front line's all over the quarterbacks see ghosts and play bad. But if quarterback's got time to pass, it's hard to cover. It's hard
to torch. Yeah, I mean, you want to, as a DB, you want to be covered for the 2 to 3 to 4 seconds. After you get 4 seconds, you're like, hey guys, he's kind of running around now, and I'm kind of over this, backpedaling for 5 seconds now, But dude, this is gonna be a crazy game.
There's a lot of star matchups too. So like I pointed out, Ricky Freeman, defensive end, up against Nick Vandegraff, left tackle for Mines. We got on the opposite end, the Western DBs. Even in the snow, Max McLeod still had his way with the Western DBs last year. Like I want to say he scored the record time touchdown for Matoga. Either way, it was in man coverage against Bryce Lucas, who was the first team all conference corner last year. So I know that matchup's going to be really good. Landon Walker and Kendall Lightfoot meeting in the hole. That's going to be fun. This game just has everything. If you're in Colorado and you're not doing anything, the environment's going to be great. You should go down to the game. I imagine this one's going to be wild. The Western people, they show up in droves, especially for this one. They got a lot of Denver kids. So I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there early. Come say what's up. And yeah, I just can't wait. This one's going to be big time. But our next game that we got is Chadron in Black Hills State. This is the game with the most implications, I would say. They're both sitting at 3-4, looking to get to 500. Chadron's going on the road to Black Hills. I just saw Black Hills in person, coming off a really, really just gut-wrenching loss. Chadron on the other end, coming off a resounding win. How do you see this one, and which way are you leaning?
So what I'm looking at right now is actually what the distance is of these games, because I believe this game is very close. Black Hills State. If I remember, this is actually a rivalry game. It's
I think they recruit a lot of the same kids, I want to say.
So I'm sorry, my phone's being forever, but Okay, it's way off. I don't know why. It's just where it was. It's not too far away. It's. I've actually heard. I know coaches from both sides talk about it's a rivalry inside the program for both teams. It's weird, but I really think it's that into a bigger aspect. We just watched both these teams play very good football this week. Chadron obviously playing Fort Lewis, which is not the same caliber of who Black Hills played against and should have beaten. But they're both moving and they're both firing. They're both trending upwards. And it's really going to be a game of who can keep the ball the longest and also who can keep it the safest. Black Hills, they had a lot of time of possession. They had a lot of yards. Chadron had a lot of time possession. They had a lot of yards. One of those has got to give this week. What's going to happen? Is it going to be Black Hills able 2 hours 15 minutes parts? Yeah. So I knew it was close. I remember when we made that drive last year, I was like, dang, these teams are way close. But it's a weird. I have a feeling this game's going to be a lot bigger for the programs and for the fans since it's a little close game. You're not driving your 13 hours like they do every other week to play an RMAC team, right? So I really do think I'm gonna take Black Hills only because of how I watched them play against Pueblo just now. I'm gonna take Black Hills.
I am on the fence with this one because having seen Black Hills and that performance they had, just their physicality, meeting Pueblo on a physical sense and really stepping up to them, that was big in my mind. But Chadron, with seeing how well their defense played, it's like obviously I'm looking at their performance last week and being like, wow, that defense is really trending in the right direction. But I also have to, be honest and take it with a grain of salt. They were playing Fort Lewis without their guy at quarterback. So maybe that defense looked a little bit inflated. The quarterbacks are very similar to me. They're both guys that have the ability to escape the pocket. They don't get sacked a lot. They're maybe not the most prolific guys, like maybe not torching you, but they're both good quarterbacks to me. The running games are pretty similar. I think Cameron Goods and Jake Marshall are both two strong backs. Like these teams are really similar. I'm going to go with Chadron. Just based on, I think that their front seven is just a step above what Black Hills is. I think Black Hills has a really good front seven too, but I think Chadron's is a little bit better. So I think they'll do a little bit better stopping the run and limiting that time of possession. I think they won't. I don't think that Black Hills will be able to just keep the ball the way they were able to on Pueblo, just extending drives 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I think Chadron's front seven will come to play and be able to stop that. And I think Chadron will do just enough to get it done. I think Tommy Thomas is due for really a big game to remind everybody that he was a first team all conference guy. And I mean through the yardage, big plays. I think I'm going to go with Chadron to win this one close. It does make me a little queasy it being on the road, but I know Black Hills, they got that turf. You know about that slick turf up at Black Hills. But nonetheless, I'm gonna go with Chadron to get it done. I think Coach Long and the boys get to 500 this week.
That is going to be a game to kind of keep an eye on. I mean, obviously we got a huge picture of what the game of the week is, but this is going to be that game that is, like you said, it's going to be close. And we're gonna see it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. Really, I mean, who scores the most points wins the game, and in the fourth quarter, I feel like there's going to be maybe 1-2 lead changes, and it's going to come down to who lead changes the last, I guess.
Or, like RMAC Insider said, he has the right of it. This could come down to special teams, and that's where I also think that I have the slight edge. Although Black Hills State has a great kicker, obviously they have a fish on their front line for field goal protection. Clearly, there's a fish. Clearly, Pueblo identified that fish and made plays off of it. Whereas on the other end, Chadron has one of the best kickers and punters in the nation. So I think RMAC Insider has the right of it. This might come down to special teams, and if that's the case, I'm gonna roll with Chadron's guys to come through and get it done.
2 games in, we're already opposite on both of them.
I think we'll be lockstep for this one.
Yeah.
We got Mesa going up to Durango. Obviously, Mesa's trending in an amazing direction. It seems like they're just firing on all cylinders right now. Fort Lewis, obviously this season as a whole, just getting that one win is gonna, no matter what, just comparatively to the last few seasons, this is gonna be an improvement. But Fort Lewis is in kind of a weird place. They get that one win a couple weeks ago. They haven't been able to win since then, and Stone's had some injury issues. I'm not sure if he's going to be back in this game or not. If he is in this game, I do think he can make it a little bit interesting. I think he could pose some problems to the Mavs defense. But overall, I think Mesa is going to cause some turnovers, grind this out. I'm not expecting Mesa to explode like they did versus Adams offensively per se, but I think they win this game comfortably.
I already said it earlier. I think the trending continues to trend. I think Mesa puts this game away in the first half. We get to see more Colorado kids play in the second half because Mesa has 85% Colorado kids on their roster. So it's you get to see more kids you've covered in high school. But it's a trap game. You're playing a team that you've looked at all week. You look down, it's Fort Lewis, but it's Fort Lewis. They just gave a really good game to Pueblo. They got the first win when they had the right guys. Some Walker's playing this week. It's a completely different game. You can't overlook it. You can't underlook it. You just got to look it straight in the eyes. Just take it on. And I know that's what Coach K is out there hitting them on every day, harping on them. Just the Maverick football doesn't matter who it is, what time it is, where it's at, straight in the face. We're hitting you every time. We're going to say sorry after the game. Good game. But
I think this is a really good measuring stick game for Fort Lewis to kind of just check their progress, because if I'm Fort Lewis, I'm looking at Mesa as like, dude, that's the model I want to follow. I'm recruiting a bunch of Colorado kids. Just because right now where our program's at, they're going to play early. And once they get this experience, we're going to start trending in the right direction. So I think this is a good barometer game for Fort Lewis to see, like, hey, where are we right now? Because they got a lot of young Colorado freshman kids playing. This will be good for those kids to see, like, hey, man, it wasn't long ago that, like, these Mesa kids were kind of going through the same thing. Obviously not to the same degree, but, just going through rough times. Like, we were there to see Cash Bradley his freshman year and whatnot, and now we see that transition and change. I think Fort Lewis should be at this game excited and just really looking at them like, hey, that could be us next season.
And you got to think they're looking like, hey, we got Stone playing, and it's not to say that's your whole team. But me and you have both played with somebody on our team, and I'll say for me it was always Bernard McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
When Bernard played, it was a total difference to our team. And the year that we had a strong push, we lost him for that year. You just tell that one factor that we were kind of missing was that. And weird thing, Colorado kid, right? Columbine actually.
Oh yeah.
But so you just look at that and. You're thankful. We're playing another game. It's a thing of wisdom. Like you said, they're going to look at this game. I think Mesa's got their history of getting their butts kicked in the last year, 52-0 against Mines. It showed them this. They got the strength for this. Fort Lewis, take what they're doing, learn from it, keep building yourself. Don't just compare yourself to other teams. Compare yourself to yourself and beat yourself every day, right? Like, don't beat yourself in the turnover game, but make yourself better every day, right? So Mesa by a long, big game. Don't really have it close. Gonna get to see some guys play. I'm really hoping to see honestly, I know Mesa's quarterbacks are great and everything, but I'm hoping to see other quarterbacks come in. Maybe your younger quarterbacks that are freshmen or stuff to see what we're going to be.
Yeah, let Brock Bider get some
Well,
reps,
Brock
man.
Bider, man. Give me Brock Bider.
Let Brock Bider get some reps,
The
man.
nicknames out there. I do gotta give out that shout out for Cash last
Oh
earlier. Like
man.
you said, his nickname is White Henny for a reason. Shout out to Cash, man. Dude just does it every day. And then give me
I got.
Brock Bider. Give me Brock Bider, man.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna really give Cash his flowers right now, dude. Because look, for years, look, I played corner at Mesa, so I have a really high standard. And Cash has been playing. Cash came right out of high school, like 100 and looked like 140 pounds, dripping wet,
Yeah,
and was starting and had his ups and downs. Caused turnovers. He's always had a lot of talent. You can tell he's fast. The
yeah.
kid can run, but the past 2 years, he was a little bit better last year, but I still didn't think he was up to the Mesa standard. But man, this year coming into it, I was a little worried about Mesa and their secondary and what they had. And man, Cash, props to you, dude. Welcome to the club. You're a Mesa great, dude. I love what you've been able to do this season. And he's done it against like big time players, like Reggie Retzlaff. That game that they played against Mesa had like 2 catches. That pick he had last week was against Tennille Nichols, who week in and week out goes for 100 yards and scores a touchdown for Highlands. He had a big time pick against him. Like, I just want to give Cash his flowers because I was doubting him coming into this season, and I'll be honest about it. And he's proved me wrong. Like, he's made me look stupid, really,
Right.
and I couldn't be happier for him. So I've been meaning to do that for real. So Cash, White Henny, shout out to you, bro.
Yes, sir. I also shout out Coach Matthews, man. Dog out
Oh
there
yeah.
grinding
Oh, yeah.
it. Keep working, Coach. Keep chopping that wood, Coach.
Oh yeah. And our last game of the week, because Pueblo and SD Mines, they played in week 0, so they both got a bye this week. It's gonna be Adams heading to New Mexico to play Highlands in what I want to say Adams and Fort Lewis haven't played, so that's still probably, but like their opportunities to get a win on the season are running out, if we're gonna be frank.
Yeah.
This is gonna be one of them. But I'm leaning towards Highlands. I've seen Highlands in person. Obviously, Mesa got the best of them last week, but I don't think Adams' defense is anything compared to Mesa's. I expect that freshman Valetti, he's a hard-nosed running back. He's a bigger kid. He's not really small. I expect him to pound it. I expect Joey Cave to pound it, get a little bit of that veer going. And I think they're going to grind it out and win this one. I think they probably win by like 2 scores.
This is a game that I don't see it being a close game. I think Highlands, they run the ball so much, and it's hard already for this defense to get off the field. It's hard for the offense to even get hot when they have the ball. Highlands is going to carry the ball for a lot of this possession. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Highlands is actually going to put up a lot of points. They're going to probably be 400 yards rushing at half. It's just what they do, and the way they can rush against this type of defense that they exploits in certain ways. But maybe, Coach over there is cooking on the defense. He's got something to show us. And for Adams truly to have a shot in this game, the offense has to do something in the first half. You have to take a lead into the half. I want to see a stat if they even have the lead at all going into half this year or leaving the first quarter, because
they were beating Pueblo after 1 quarter.
They were beating Pueblo, yeah. So they just more points. And even then, 10-8's not. Again,
they had multiple turnovers in that first quarter. It should have been 14, 17, 8. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I agree with you because the defense week in and week out forces a turnover in that first those first couple possessions. If they do that again this week, those have to be points and not field goals. 7.
Yeah.
If Trey Dinesto gets another pick this week, well, maybe that's something that we got to start asking the defense to do. You guys are getting turnovers every week. Go score points.
Yeah. I said it in the talk that we practice great. You got paid. Go get overtime. Go get the overtime. Go get the check. Everybody loves it when you get the pick, but everybody remembers the person that actually scored at the end of the day. They're the ones that change the points on the scoreboard. And so and you want to talk about rising up in your road to glory. Touchdowns really give you more XP than just interceptions by itself, but yeah, this game is going to be definitely not what we expect, and I hope it is definitely a shootout or it's a complete defensive game. I hope it is completely what we're not ready for, but I just think where it's based, where it's heading, Highlands gets it going, keeps going, gets coached his second win, and can help that program going. And you just got to think what's going to happen from here on if we don't start winning games. Like it's getting scary, and maybe you start letting the young guys play. Week 9, you got 11 freshmen out there, and you're trying to figure out who's going to play in competition. Who am I taking this next year? So.
Oh yeah. Well, hey man, another week, another great week. Do we want to spice up this Mines Western? Do we want to make a bet or anything? You got anything in mind?
Shoot, I got no gear, got nothing. We were talking before film, before we got on here. I just ran 2 miles in a bet with my girlfriend. She said I couldn't run 2 miles in 14 minutes. I ran in 11 minutes. So I'm a betting man myself. Okay, so you just let me know where you want to go, what we want to do. I really do. I think Mines takes this. I really do think Mines takes this.
Well, hey, look, we still got a couple. We still got tomorrow, and then we still got Saturday morning. You guys can see our Twitter handles there. If you follow us, we'll be talking tons of RMAC football over the weekend and whatnot. We'll be following along. I'll be at a game. Another great week, dude. I love doing this. I love talking RMAC football with you, my man. And I'm looking forward to next week, dude. I'm looking forward to breaking down how these games go down, dude.
Yeah, man. I'm thankful. I'm excited. Hopefully, we keep putting on more channels or more of these clips out together and having fun. And shout out to the guys with D2, and really shout out to you, man. You're out here grinding and giving these guys the opportunity to even have a picture to be seen other than obviously their own university. We talk about this, like we have huge pictures of what we could do for this and what we can do for that. It really comes out thankful for the guys who are actually helping us on the side, right? The ones that are shooting the videos and not just you busting it out right there. And
man, speaking of which, dude, man, Pueblo just has a treasure trove of content creators. Obviously, Oli is running things. My man Photo. Jason Ortiz is the man. But the guys that we got our video today at KC Flicks on Instagram and Altitude Artistry, super dope guys that care. I mean, it's just dope seeing like how far media's come from like when we were playing.
Right.
We were playing. There might be like one person at the school that has a camera. Yeah. That's like doing stuff, but now you got like schools having multiple different kids that want to be a part of the media department. It's just dope to just see the sport and the game growing. And it's like me and you, we didn't play that long ago. Think about how different it is now. It's awesome. Shout out to all the content creators. I'm very thankful for you guys for always giving us your stuff to highlight these players, because these players deserve it. There's a bunch of ballers and they deserve to be highlighted. So I'm excited to do it again, and I think that's gonna be all for us tonight. You got anything else?
I just gotta say, shout out to Pueblo for the sick uniforms this week. My favorite things. Those are so beautiful.
I'm gonna point this out though. There's no baby blue in their school colors.
Well, they are changing them actually. I seen that if you look at all the sports, they're starting to add that kind of baby blue to it. It's kind of weird, but it reminds me of Boston Valley, honestly, in a weird way. They have that like baby and dark blue.
See, this kind of upsets me. I don't mean to go on a tangent before we end here, but Pueblo's adding dope, cool colors to theirs. The baby blue is awesome. I'm not hating. I'm just saying it's not there. But they're adding that. I have word that Mesa's trying to take out the yellow, man. Why?
Shoot, I can't really speak on even knowing that, because I love those black ones they got this last year. I love the look of that, and there's no yellow on there. I totally get it, but just that look, it is beautiful. But you got to really.
You remember the old black ones we used to have, the old black Nike ones with the little yellow and red. You can't get rid of the yellow, man.
I believe y'all wore those. Y'all wore those when we lost. I thank you. Thanks for that memory, AC. No, I'm just but no, I mean, shout out though to like kind of like we were saying. I know we're kind of a little bit long here, but shout out to kind of how the RMAC's going now. We're getting more creation with these videos. Media starting to blast. I would have been a fool had I known a camera was always looking at me every play. But also to kind of the equipment staffs on these coachings. You know, like Western brought out new uniforms. Mines has brought out new uniforms decals. Pueblo's got new uniforms decals. Black Hills has the black ones. You know, like everybody's got all these new things it's adding in. It's really making you want to go like play in the RMAC, and I think that's what we really want to keep saying about what we love to talk about is the RMAC and the opportunity it gives us. It gives people to play a higher. We know people playing the NFL, CFL, overseas. You can do that playing here in the RMAC. That's what's so beautiful about playing at any school in the RMAC. And you're going to play at some of the most beautiful stadiums, some of the most interesting crowds, some of the most interesting history, heritage, and some of the towns you're playing in. And it's just it's a beautiful nature that we get to cover. And just want to say, you know, if you're not looking into the RMAC teams that are giving you offers out there and you listen to these, give them a shot. Find out what all the buzz is. There's a reason why we always have a team in the top 4 getting into the national championship every year.
What do you know? They say the RMAC's not tough, but we just keep going every year.
Yeah, they're right there.
For Tanner Draper, I'm Antonio Clark. This was RMAC Weekly, and we'll see you guys next week.